We live in an age where we can connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time. We have access to social media, instant messaging, and video calls that bring people closer. So why is it that despite being more connected than ever, so many of us feel utterly alone? There's something deeply unsettling about the fact that in a world of constant communication, loneliness is on the rise. Could technology, the very thing designed to connect us, be fueling an epidemic of isolation instead? The irony is striking, isn't it? We're constantly surrounded by notifications, updates, and messages, yet there's a growing emptiness inside. Studies show that overuse of social media is linked to increased feelings of loneliness and depression. But how can that be? How can something meant to bring people together be tearing them apart emotionally? The constant bombardment of curated lives and picture-perfect moments leaves many feeling inadequate or disconnected from the real world. And here's where the debate begins. Some argue that technology isn't the problem, it's how we use it. They say it's not the platforms, but our unhealthy relationship with them. We've become addicted to the dopamine hit we get from likes, shares, and retweets. But at the end of the day, these quick bursts of validation don't replace real human interaction. Can scrolling through your feed really substitute for a meaningful conversation with a friend? There are those who would go even further and say that technology is actively working against us. The algorithms behind social media platforms are designed to keep us hooked, isolated in echo chambers of content that reflect our interests and reinforce our biases. While we may feel connected, we're only connecting with ideas and people who agree with us, isolating us from the broader, more diverse conversations happening in the real world. Is this a subtle form of control or just a byproduct of our digital habits? But let's be honest, it's not just social media. Dating apps, work-from-home setups, virtual gaming, all of it feeds into this strange paradox where we are constantly interacting but rarely connecting. Sure, you can match with someone online, but how many of those interactions lead to deep, fulfilling relationships? The more we rely on technology for communication, the less we seem to value face-to-face encounters, and that's where the loneliness creeps in. What about the role of technology in replacing physical community spaces? Where we once met people in parks, cafes, or public events, now we interact from behind a screen. Digital meetups, Zoom hangouts. These are conveniences that became a necessity during the pandemic. But are they truly fulfilling, or are they just a temporary band-aid on the deep wound of human isolation? Can technology ever really replace the warmth of human connection? Here's the kicker. Some believe this increasing isolation is by design. Could it be that our growing dependence on technology is being engineered to keep us lonely? After all, loneliness is profitable. The more isolated we feel, the more we turn to online services, subscriptions, and platforms to fill the void. Social media giants, app developers, and tech companies thrive off our attention. And the lonelier we are, the more attention we give. Is it all part of a larger plan? And yet, despite all this, technology can't be entirely to blame. Many argue that it's how society has evolved alongside it. We've traded real-life communities for digital ones because it's more convenient. But at what cost? Have we forgotten how to truly connect, not through screens, but through shared experiences, eye contact, and vulnerability? Or is this just the next step in human evolution where digital interactions are the new norm, and we're simply resisting change? So is technology to blame for our loneliness, or are we? As we sit in our homes, staring into screens, feeling more alone than ever, we have to ask ourselves, are we victims of the system, or are we complicit in building our own isolation? Perhaps it's not the technology itself, but the way we've allowed it to infiltrate every corner of our lives. Is there a way back to genuine connection, or have we gone too far? Maybe the answer lies somewhere in between. Maybe we need to rethink how we use technology without letting it use us. Because at the end of the day, no amount of likes, shares, or virtual chats can replace the simple act of sitting down with someone and having a real conversation. But who's really willing to admit that we've let ourselves get this far? Is this the price we're willing to pay for convenience?